If you're new to flying and about to take your first flight, this video is here to walk you through it. This is part 3, the final video in a 3-part series for first-time flyers. If you missed the first 2 parts, no worries, I've linked them down in the description box below so you can go check that out. Hey, I'm Kimberly and this is KRod Collective, where I teach you how to travel solo, travel smart, and help you fall in love with Spain. All right, now let's talk about what happens on your actual flight. As I talked about in part 2, you can board the plane by group or by zone number, and you can find your group number on your boarding pass. Once your group is called, you'll head to the gate, scan your boarding pass, and then head to the plane. Once you get to the plane, there's usually a flight attendant there to greet you at the door. Now it's time to find your seat, and to find your seat, you just follow the seat numbers. As you're walking down the aisle, if you look up, you'll see the seat numbers. And the rows are usually identified by number, and the seat is usually identified by a letter. Normally, A is at the window, and then it goes down alphabetically. So for example, if you're on a plane with one aisle down the middle and 3 seats on your right and 3 seats on your left, it's usually A, B, C, D, E, F. And of course, this is going to depend on the configuration of that particular plane. You'll notice that the overhead bins are above the seats, and that is where you're going to put your carry-on bag. So as we discussed in part 1 of this series, your carry-on bag you can put up in the overhead bin, and then if you have a personal item like a small backpack or a purse, you can put that underneath the seat in front of you. Let's talk about seat types. So window seats are really great for views and for leaning your head against the wall to sleep. Aisle seats make it really easy to get up at any moment and stretch your feet and also go to the bathroom. Middle seats aren't really the greatest, but hey, sometimes you gotta sit where you gotta sit. There are seats called emergency exit seats. You'll usually find these in the middle of the plane or towards the back of the plane. Wherever you see an emergency window or an emergency door, that is where the exit seats are. In these seats, you'll usually get some extra legroom, but you are gonna be responsible for helping in case of an emergency. Also, depending on the configuration of the aircraft and whatnot, these seats may not recline all the way, or they may not recline at all because there might be another emergency exit directly behind it. On some planes, there are seats that are not exit row seats themselves, but they are directly in front of an exit row, and those seats also might not recline all the way because of the exit that's directly behind them. And also, depending on the airline and their particular rules, if you're seated in an exit seat, you may or may not be able to store any items under the seat in front of you. And depending on the configuration of the plane, we'll have a tray table that's in front of you. There's also a button on the side of your armrest, which you can push, and if you push back, your seat will recline. There are some exit row seats that it doesn't look like it has a screen or a tray table, but the tray table is normally located in the armrest, and then the monitor is usually located a bit below. You have to push a button and pull up the screen that way. But then again, it does depend on that specific plane. There are different types of airplanes, and the plane that you're on is going to depend on your airline, obviously, and also your destination. Some planes have a single aisle right down the middle, and these are usually used for short-haul flights or for domestic flights. And there are other larger airplanes that have 2 aisles going down the middle. So sometimes they have 3 seats or 2 seats on the right-hand side, an aisle, 3 seats or 4 seats in the middle, another aisle, and then 2 or 3 seats on the other side. And sometimes with these larger planes with the double aisles, these seats might be a little bit roomier, and you might have some extra amenities and maybe even a nice meal. So for me, I find that planes tend to run colder. Now, this isn't always the case, but I usually like to either dress in layers or bring a light jacket or coat or blanket that I can use as a cover-up in case I get cold. In winter, I'll usually use my coat as a blanket, but I also like to bring a blanket like this. This is a great travel blanket. It can fold up, it can double as a pillow, and it also has a trolley sleeve so it can fit right over your luggage. I would also recommend wearing things that you feel comfortable in, items that are not going to restrict your movement in any way, especially if it's a longer flight. You also might even want to consider wearing something like compression socks, and also I would highly recommend wearing closed-toed shoes. Some flights have free Wi-Fi and free entertainment on the seatback screens that have things like movies, shows, podcasts, music, games, but not all airlines and planes offer this. Some planes don't have any screens at all, so you can come prepared by downloading your own shows, your own podcasts, and even bring a book or an activity to keep you occupied during your flight. This also ends up being very helpful in case you have any sort of delay. For staying comfortable on the flight, you want to make sure that you you are hydrating. You can bring an empty water bottle that you can fill up after you've cleared security at any of the water fountains in the airport. You can also bring your own snacks if you want to. If you're curious about what kind of snacks you can pack for travel, definitely make sure you check out the description box below. I have some ideas down there for you. If it's a longer flight, set an alarm, get up, stretch your legs, just walk up and down the aisles, go to the bathroom. You can also bring an eye mask or a neck pillow, something like that to just keep you comfortable. Keep your charger handy just in case there is a charging port or a USB charging port for your phone or any of your devices. I have a small bag that is always packed that has a few in-flight essentials and just a few essentials for my trip in general. If you are interested in packing something like that and you want to know what's inside my travel essentials bag, you can definitely check out this video right here. Not all flight experiences are created equal. With some airlines, like we talked about in part 1, you have to pay for things like snacks, drinks, entertainment, even water sometimes. They're just cheap flights. They have decent fares, and they're just there to get you from point A to point B. Anything extra, you'll have to pay for. But with other airlines, you might get a drink or a snack that's already included, and then on longer flights, you might even get a meal service and free drinks. So as I said in part 1, make sure you're checking the airline's policy and the particular ticket that you're buying, just so you're not caught off guard. So your flight and most flights usually go a little bit like this. Once everyone has boarded, the boarding door or the boarding doors will close. A safety video or a demonstration will play. Then the plane will speed up and take off. You may feel some pressure in your ears as you go into the air or once you get in the air, and that is normal. The pilot may or may not come on and make an announcement and also turn off this seatbelt sign. It just all depends on what is happening on your particular flight. Then you'll be on the plane, you may or may not have a service, Now, while you're in the air, you may experience some irregular or sharp movements of the plane, and this is what we call turbulence. If you're a little nervous about that sort of movement or just turbulence in general, check the description box below because I'm going to link a really great video that a pilot did on TikTok a couple of years ago, basically explaining what turbulence is, and especially for fearful flyers. If you're interested in that, check it out down in the description box. Then once it's time to land, the pilot will usually come on and make an announcement about being on the descent. The flight attendants will usually come through and do their final walkthrough, and this is the time where you need to have your tray table up, and if your seat is reclined, you have to make sure it's upright again. Then once you land, you'll taxi to your gate. Once you're parked at the gate, then usually the pilot will turn off the seatbelt sign, and then the boarding door or the boarding doors will open, and then you're free to grab your belongings and get off the plane. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If you checked a bag, then you will need to normally pick up that bag in baggage claim. As you're exiting the airport, you'll need to follow the signs that say baggage claim. Once you're in the baggage claim area, there's usually a big screen or signs that will tell you which belt or which carousel goes with which flight number. Then you'll go to that carousel, you'll wait for your bag, you may see it, it may not be there yet. Grab your bag, and then that's it. If you're doing an international flight, you will, of course, as we talked about in part 2, you'll have to go through customs and immigration, and that's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, you've just made it through your first flight. Really hope this video series was helpful for you to give you a little bit of confidence and to kind of show you what you might expect. If you're looking for more travel tips, definitely make sure you check out this playlist right here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.